Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonis.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonis. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Get 2 times membership rewards points per dollar on eligible purchases in key business categories, as well as on each eligible purchase of $5,000 or more, on up to $2 million in eligible purchases per calendar year. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
Well, the entire stadium standing. Jeter singled cleanly between third and short his first time. So he is 1 hit away. He is at 2,999 as he stands in. And there's the chant, which you can hear in the background. Derek Jeter. Here comes the 3-2 from Price. Swung on and hit in the air to deep left. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. He's homered. Derek Jeter homers to tie the game. And there it is. Hit number 3,000. Derek Jeter has achieved another milestone in his Hall of Fame career. 15 playoff appearances, 12 All-Star games, 5 World Championships, and now the first Yankee to amass 3,000 hits. The captain, Derek Jeter.
If you were looking for drama, if you were looking for the moment, if you were looking for entertainment, that's what he gave you. And I think there were people who were critics, severe critics, and there were people who loved it. And I'll tell you this, as the years went by, I think the fans really grew to love the home run calls. The Yankees hit 1 million home runs every year. They loved the entertainment value of it, and they started to appreciate that and not worry too much about the descriptive analysis of a certain play.
The other thing that was funny about Sterling, with my old partner here, about the passing of John Sterling, legendary Yankee broadcaster, as Mike said, never missed a game in his life. He wouldn't want to dare miss a game in case he got replaced by somebody.
Yeah, he didn't want somebody else to do a game.
Yeah, he definitely did. He didn't want anybody else working but him. But the one thing about him, he used to whine a lot when the Yankees weren't playing well. And you never could argue with him because he had the guts to knock the Yankee. He got a little Harry Carey in him.
Sirius XM, Mike and the Mad Dog. Mike Brancesa, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, the afternoon show when I was there all those years at the Fan. And again, those guys are done. Mikey does his podcast, and Chris is on Sirius XM. In my opinion, the best sports talk guy on radio, it's not even close anymore, is the afternoon host. Ironically, like Mike and Chris were on FAN right now. Craig Carton, he's the best. Craig's a Hall of Famer. Also, Fox Sports 1 television guy on this show quite a bit. And I said yesterday, I said, listen, I'm not saying John Sterling was Vince Scully, okay? I'm not saying that. But in terms of pure entertainment value, he was better. Better than all those guys. Now, it depends on what you prefer. Me, I understand that baseball, yes, wins and losses matter. They get billions of dollars. But baseball is still a form of entertainment. So give me an entertaining guy, and I'll take that guy 8 days a week. And John Sterling, I believe, was the best when it came to keeping the Yankee fan entertained. But I'm out of the business. Craig Carton is still the best. You tell me, Craig, where does John Sterling belong in the pantheon of all-time greats?
Yeah. Look, I think he's one of those guys like Harry Carey in Chicago, Harry Kalas in Philadelphia, Vince Scully in Brooklyn and L.A., and part of that's because of his longevity. Part of that's because even the mistakes he made became must-listen-to radio. And he's it's a bad way to put it, but those guys are a dying breed. The guys that stay with one team for 30, 40 years, I'm not sure how long those guys are going to exist anymore because of the travel, because of the money, because of the consolidation, because some teams don't send guys on the road anymore. But John Sterling was uniquely ours. And even in the last 5 or 6 years of his career, where his mistakes became fodder for talk show radio, I just don't think there's a lot of guys like him left. And I think John Sterling and the tributes he got yesterday were very well deserved. Think about this. In an era where guys don't like to go to work, 5 days a week, let alone 7, he did more than 5,000 consecutive games. And if you put that in context to the 20-year career of Derek Jeter, and you just played Derek Jeter's 3,000th hit, the home run, just for context, John Sterling called every single pitch of Derek Jeter's career.
Wow. No,
that's why he's special.
That's amazing. That's a great job, Craig. You're right. And he was special. You talk about the mistakes. And, Lou, you remember this. We had a guy at WFAN years ago. His name was Jonathan Grunfast. He mostly cut tape. He went on to become an update guy for me in Miami, believe it or not, Craig. So, long story short, at the end of Bob Murphy, the Hall of Fame announcer for the Mets, at the end of his career, he effed up all the time. He would call Keith Hernandez, Sid Hernandez. He just, he would talk about Pee Wee Reese. It got rough for Bob Murphy at the end. And Grunfast made a tape of all of his mistakes. And one morning, you remember this, on Imus, after Bob Murphy died, and everybody was doing the Bob Murphy tributes, I decided on my sports report that morning for Imus to play the Bob Murphy mistakes. So Imus go, you son of a bitch, that's not nice. And all kidding aside, Chernoff was furious. Eric Spitz was furious.
Mike and Chris
were pissed.
Yeah.
The Mets were pissed. And I say this to you, Craig, because if given the opportunity to do it again, I would do it again tomorrow.
Yeah. By the way, me too.
I know. That's why I love you.
Yeah.
That's why I say you're the best in the business, because on a serious note, you understand, and this is why you're great. You know your sports, but you're entertaining. That's why John Sterling was great. Entertaining. That's the key word, no?
Yeah, look, he was a showman. He understood it. I'm not sure if he would have embraced it, earlier in his career, but I think as he got older and people started to talk about his legacy more, I just think he liked being talked about. Now, Susan yesterday, I thought, did a great job kind of eulogizing him on our midday show with Evan Roberts and Sean Marash. Tiki was off yesterday.
I have that cut. Wait, I have that cut right now. Let's play this. This is Craig referred to it. Here's a chance to play Susan on the show. Cut number 10, and she talks about, to Craig's point, the first time she met John Sterling.
I was his update person on WFAN in 1987, and he was doing a talk show, and he came up for All-Star Week, and he did the week. And I remember he came in, and I was the update person, and he stood up, and he cupped his hand over his ear, and he talked standing up for 4 hours. And I said, this must be a really interesting person. And he could talk about anything. He could talk about any sport at any time. And so his callers were the exchange between him and the callers was unbelievable. He also was a pretty nasty talk show host. People think it was nasty then. John would really yell at people and she called them stupid. But I thought, this is what a fascinating person he is. And that's when we became friends, and we found out we had the same taste in music. We had, we read the same books. He was a voracious reader. I don't know if people knew that in between innings, John would be reading. He would come right back into it, because that was his life, was baseball. But he could turn it off, read a couple of pages, and now we're in the bottom of the 7th, and he'd come right back. It was extraordinary.
Nice job there by Susan, right, Craig?
Yeah, it was great. Look, they worked together longer than anybody, right? So she would know the kind of picadillos about, him off the air as well. I've heard that story before, that he would spend the pregame reading whatever novel he was reading or book he was reading, and then as soon as the producer said go, he went right into go mode, which I think is a great gift that he had. But she did say something. It made me think. I've tried to have a little more empathy my second and third iteration on the fan. I'm not sure if I'm successful at it or not, but she did make the comment yesterday that he didn't quite understand, or at some point earlier in his career, when people would take shots at him. Like, he didn't get it. And I think there came a point late in his career where he enjoyed being talked about, even if there's people, playing like you did for Imus, some of the mistakes he made. And I think he became a larger-than-life figure, almost a caricature of himself in the last couple of years. But I think the fact that so many people across the country are playing his calls and mimicking his calls now tells you about his legacy as one of the great radio play-by-play guys in baseball history.
Bottom line, this is the Hall of Famer, the great Craig Carton. Weekday afternoons on WFAN. Does a great podcast, too, in the mornings with his guys over at Fox Sports 1, which we play here.
Do you think it's bad to have a 30-ounce Coke slushie and a bag of Twizzlers and a box of Tic Tacs for breakfast?
I mean, it's probably not as bad as a line of cocaine and a half a bottle of scotch, but it's not great.
All right, so you win.
You know what's funny about you is I know you. You're in good shape. You're a very good-looking guy. You used to be a very good ball player. I'm not sure if you still are. You probably are. But you don't eat healthy, do you? You don't eat healthy.
Well, it's a 30-ounce Coke slushie from Quick Check and Twizzlers and Tic Tacs is unhealthy. I guess I'm unhealthy, but I'm glad you brought up my ball-playing skills.
Yeah?
I don't care what anybody else says. WFAN against WABC on the softball field in Staten Island for charity. Are you in or are you out?
I got to tell you, the Staten Island Ferry Hawk management, the great Gary Perrone, who loves you, he was in these studios just last week as the Ferry Hawks opened up their home schedule at that beautiful stadium last week. He is so excited, Craig, about this opportunity now for your WFAN baseball team to take on my team at WABC. Chad Lopez is in. Chris Olivero is in. Here we go. We're going to kick your ass, Craig. We got. I don't know who we've got. We got Dick Morris at shortstop.
Yeah. By the way, you have Brian Kilmeade playing second base.
Right.
I win.
Well, one of the things you have to talk about, though, are the rules. Like, you can't be bringing in, I know what you guys like to do. You're a sports station. You're friends with everybody, Craig. I get it. You can't have Plaxico Burris and Derek Jeter and all those guys playing on your team when I'm going to be playing, my weekend crew like Cindy Adams. You can't do that.
Yeah, you're going to have Bo Dito at first base, Joe Tacopina pitching.
True.
You're going to have Bruce Blakeman playing right field.
Yeah.
You're going to have, like I said, Kilmeade's playing second.
Yeah.
I'm going to have Plaxico Burris in right. I got Tiki Barber in left center.
Oh, my God.
I've got Ryan Leaf at third base.
Oh, my God.
So good luck.
Tiki's a great shortstop, too. What I may do just to really make sure that the fans love us, I may put President Trump at third. How about that, Craig?
You think he's got to? By the way, I was told that there's a video that came out maybe over the weekend that President Trump was a decent high school baseball player.
That's true. He was actually even better than decent.
True?
He was good. Yes, he was actually good. Even better than decent. He was good. And he's. Yeah?
I think I saw a video of him having a catch. And he looked like he knew how to throw a baseball pretty good.
No, and he loves the game. He's very, very close with Randy Levine and the Yankees. He was in a box last summer. Hearing rumors about him coming back to Yankee Stadium again this year. And he loved the Wilpons. I'm not sure how he gets along with Steve Cohen, but he, in fact, when he first won in 2017 and did his first interview with me and Bernard, God rest Bernard's soul, and we talked about all the important stuff at the time. Same thing, China, White House Correspondents' Dinner. This is 9 years ago. We ended the interview with me asking President Trump, Mr. President, if opening day is the same day in Queens and the Bronx, and the Steinbrenners offer you tickets in the Bronx, and the Wilpons offer you tickets in Queens, which game would you go to? And he said, Sid, that's a tough question. Don't ask me that. I love both those guys. But he made it very, very clear that he was very close with all those guys and both organizations.
Yeah, you know what you should do if he's the president? You just tell Rob Manfred, Yankees at 1, Mets at 4, and do both. Like I'm the president.
Yeah, he probably would do that, yes. But at any rate, I'm glad you popped on this morning. You're beautiful. You're great. And you're right. Everything you said about John Sterling, Craig, you nailed it, especially just his effervescence. He just wanted to do every game. The guy never wanted to miss a game.
He did. He never wanted to take a day off. I think he's one of those guys where taking a day off would have meant, he was in trouble. We all live in this world where as much as you talk about how great you are every morning, I talk about how great I am every afternoon. There's an insecurity to this job. There is.
Oh, no question.
And I think, him never wanting to take a single pitch off, I think played into the insecurity of the job. And, when you're the Yankee play-by-play guy, there's no job that's more talked about, and there's no job you would think with less security than that. And I think that's what John was kind of talking about without actually saying the words.
Yeah.
God forbid I missed an at-bat.
Yep.
The guy that replaced me might be better. So I never want to take a day off at all. But can I just bring up a quick thing out of left field for you?
Sure.
You said earlier this morning that it took you a half hour to shave in the morning because you had to shave your neck.
Right.
That's disgusting.
What do you mean it's disgusting? Underneath my chin, your neck, you don't change it. What, you shave your face and you let the hair grow? I don't understand.
You're like Chewbacca. You're like I get the head, that's a quick pop-a-bomb. And the face, pop-a-bomb. How hairy is your neck?
My whole face.
You need an extra 30 minutes to shave.
No, I do. I get very hairy, and I got to shave my head, my face, my neck. It's a whole process, Craig. It's a whole. One of these days, I'll videotape it, and you can watch it at home.
By the way, there's probably people out there that would pay $9.95 for like neck shaving fetish videos.
I get big money for that. Big money. Yeah, we'll do a whole tutorial on that. Maybe before the game when ABC takes on FAN. But thank you for another amazing appearance. You're funny. You're great. You're terrific. Craig Carton, I love you, buddy. Thank you so much.
Pick a Saturday for the game because I'm starting to warm up. And
okay.
Lou better get his ass out there, too.
No, Lou plays. Hey, Lou, I remember, thank you, Craig, you were great. When we had our FAN softball team, you were out there a couple times with me.
Yeah, Lou
you played second base,
Lou
right?
Lou is old now.
We're all old now. Who's young? Nobody got younger in the last 20 years.
Lou is older.
Yeah, so what? You can still play.
Okay, well, sure, I'll play, fine.
You played second base,
Craig, and you want me, I'll play.
Yeah,
I played the outfield.
No, you're on our team, though.
Yeah,
you're not on Craig's team.
I know, but you both just said I got to get
you got to be there. Well, you were a draw. That's why Craig wants you out there, because the ladies love you. And you're famous. You're Lou Rapino. I miss Sid.
Lou should be the mascot.
There you go.
Okay.
How about that?
Ladies love Cool Lou. That's it.
Craig, thank you, brother.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Let me tell you about ProHealthConnect.com. It's transforming healthcare payments, providing retailers a seamless process for over-the-counter and healthy benefit programs. By connecting retailers, health plans, and payment processors, ProHealth Connect creates one powerful, unified network. They empower independent grocers and pharmacies to accept health benefit cards without changing how they do business. With over 10,000 locations nationwide, helping more than 1.3 million people access the care and nutrition they need. Go to ProHealthConnect.com.
Every act of change begins with a neighbor. When neighbors connect through the Feeding America network, small actions ripple into lasting impact. Feeding America, led by neighbors. Give now to end hunger at feedingamerica.org.